not worked with the entire year. Now, some of them may know each other. Some of them may have worked with each other previously, but it's not the same if you have not been working the entire year. There's chemistry. I just told you. Sometimes people are where they should be, and if you're not in that group together, maybe someone is where they shouldn't be, and then you got a problem. And I think we saw that with a lot of the stuff going on this season in the playoffs. And it's just going to continue, But I'm just like, hey, everybody, if you're on this group and the entire group graded, you can still have your weak link, the person that graded out the worst or not as great as the other people. But collectively, as a group, how do you fare out? And if you're the best group, top 1, top 2, top 3, whatever it is and all that stuff, then you guys get to ref, you guys and ladies, because there are ladies, so let me not forget, you guys and ladies get to ref these playoff games. Plain and simple. That's it. Just make it simple. Just leave it at that. Then you won't have me on here doing my Chris Rock impersonation. 2 whole yards. 2 yards. Matt Farrell in the chat room, in the Wait a Minute Show chat room, he pointed out something. He said, Titans are now 4-1 versus Alex Smith. Well, there's a lot of people that got more wins against Alex Smith than losses. And that brings me into our next topic. Is Alex Smith out this door? Did they, after the Titans beat the Chiefs, did the Kansas City Chiefs just go ahead and push that door wide open and just said, you know what, Alex, use it? And they're going to go ahead and say, Pat Mahomes, get in here, get yourself ready. We finna ride with you. Now, there are some landing spots if he is out the door. And if you got some ideas where he probably would go or should go, put it in the chat room and we'll talk about it. But I'm going to name some places here in just a moment. But it just seems like with Alex Smith, it's the same story. He's not a horrible quarterback. A lot of people say, oh, he's sorry, he's trash. He don't like to take risk and all this stuff. He has a decent record. He has a really good record, winning percentage. I just don't know if Alex Smith has that it factor of what you need when you get to the playoffs to just get. Now, with San Fran, he did some good things. With Kansas City, he did some good things. I think this year was his best year career-wise in the season. But for whatever reason, he gets to the playoffs, man. And I don't know. Tequila Spikes has this thing saying your butthole tighten up. Maybe that's what happens. He starts thinking too much or something. But it's just like, does he have that it thing, that thing that you need to get you guys over the hump? Now, it's not just all Alex Smith. It was other guys, on this team. But, coaching decisions and everything could have been, pointed this way. But especially for a game that was so close, I still don't understand why, Kareem Hunt only had so many. Well, I do understand. The Titans defense, stiffened up in the second half. But here are some teams that I think. And Matt Farrell has said Mahomes is the truth. It's time to move on, from Smith. And maybe this is what they do. But here are some teams that I believe that would be on the plate. Now, all of these, of course, he's not going to have his choice, I guess. I don't think they're going to say, where do you want to go? They're going to look for whoever gives them the best deal. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to throw that out real quick. Yeah, they got up Blake Bortles. They're in the playoffs and everything. But they were rumored to possibly get Eli Manning. So if they are going to look at Eli Manning, you got to look at Alex Smith. And you got to think Alex Smith is an upgrade from Blake Bortles at this point. Jacksonville defense is awesome. Then maybe, it's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Brad Johnson and everything. He makes his plays and all this stuff, but he doesn't have to necessarily put everything on him to win the game. I just said Eli Manning. If Eli Manning leaves and goes to Jacksonville or somewhere like that, then maybe that opens up for the Giants. That's just something to throw out there. There's going to be an open, spot. A team that could need a quarterback, that needs a quarterback, would be the Cleveland Browns. I don't know how well Alex Smith would take to being shipped off to Cleveland. He may not have a choice, but he would have an awesome monster of a receiver in Josh Gordon. And then the Browns have like 15 million picks. They could get him a running game. Someone to go with Duke Johnson and Isaiah Crowell. They got a decent line. Build on their defense. Might be. I mean, they're 0-16. 1-31 in the past 2 years, but they could turn around pretty fast. Carson Palmer, he just retired. Arizona, you got to think about them. And I probably would put Arizona, if someone's going to go after Alex Smith, especially someone that they've seen in their division repeatedly when he played for San Francisco, that might make sense. That right there also might keep Larry Fitzgerald from retiring. Because Carson Palmer is gone. Larry Fitzgerald is not trying to start. I saw how Larry, just when Kurt Warner left and he retired, Larry Fitzgerald, he's just like, all right, we go with the next guy. Kurt was my guy and all this stuff. It's the business. I got to move on. But I remember a piece that they did, and Kurt Warner showed up to the piece, and you could hear Larry Fitzgerald, like, Kurt, come back. Like, he told him, come back. Now, was that a dig on the present quarterback? Because it wasn't Carson Palmer at that time. So, maybe. I don't know. But it just gave him comfort. And I think if you get a guy like Alex Smith to go to Arizona, or if they trade and get him at Arizona, you got a good chance of keeping Larry Fitzgerald for one more year. Larry, I don't think he is looking at starting over with another quarterback. Maybe Drew Stanton, might be a guy that he's willing to do it with. But I just think if you get Alex Smith, you probably lock up Larry Fitzgerald for one more year. Minnesota, I'm going to throw Minnesota in here. Minnesota is, and this is more of what happens this week and beyond, for the playoffs for Minnesota. They got 3 quarterbacks that are free agents, basically, and I don't know if they even have remotely an idea of what they want to do. So they may could say, you know what, let's get Alex Smith. Mac Farrell threw out 3 teams, and one of them is what I'm just going to talk about now. Actually, 2 of them. Denver, I think, John Elway has seen, stop playing around with the quarterback. You got this defense. Stop playing around with the quarterback. Now, I don't know if they would actually trade him to Denver because that's in the division. They probably don't want to see him, but it could be a possibility. And they don't have to pay Alex Smith $20, $25 million or anything like that. Mac Farrell also had the Jets in there, and that Jets is a team that I had. I mean, they need a quarterback. Robbie Anderson looked pretty good this year, for them. They had Austin Seferian-Jenkins. They are going to have to get a running game because Matt Forte is not what he used to be. And Bilal Powell is, Bilal Powell. He's not that workhorse back, every down back, Matt Forte. Let me just say that, So there are a lot of teams out there, I think, that will be looking, to see if they can get the services of Alex Smith. So I don't think he really has to worry about anybody wanting him. I just think it's really the perfect situation because at this point, he's not a young chicken anymore. He's not a spring chicken. And he needs to be somewhere where someone can be the it for him. So like a Jacksonville. That defense, wouldn't put him maybe in situations where they're going to say, Alex, take us to the promised land. I just don't know if he has it like that, But it does look like he is on his way out the door, you know. Shouts out to other people that joined the chat room. My man Jeff Fox from the Jeff Fox Show. He is in here. Appreciate you for joining in. Jeff Fox got Chucky. Got John Gruden on that team now, man. I know, you're a big Raiders fan, so we'll see what happens with that. That Ninja is in here as well. Appreciate you for dropping in. And Brian Hill has jumped into the chat room with us as well. So, wow. Alex Smith. When I was going through this, I really didn't think that many teams would have, or Alex Smith would probably have that many teams on his plate, and Jeff said, yes, sir, Raiders. But we'll get off that because Alex is out of the playoffs. He's not playing anymore. We're not going to talk about him anymore at this point. We will talk about another quarterback that's not in the playoffs at all. Didn't make the playoffs. But it is something that we need to talk about. And that's Kirk Cousins. Is it time for the Washington Redskins to commit to Kirk Cousins, to give Kirk Cousins that rose? Yes, from The Bachelor, yeah. And I don't know if it's commit, but I will definitely say it's time to make up your mind. No more franchise tagging. First off, if you franchise tag him again, you're going to pay him about $60 million just for 1 year. Of course, it's not $60 million, but you're going to pay him in the upwards, I think like $34 million to be realistic. And at this point, I just don't get it. You franchised them twice. And if you franchise them the third time, you might as well have signed them to a long contract. I just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just named 7 teams that Alex Smith could end up at. So Alex only can go to 1. So that still leaves 6. So I just think it's time to make up your mind. I don't know if the Redskins have been looking or waiting on this particular quarterback or anything like that. But to me, your backup, what I think is Colt McCoy, that is not the answer. The long-term answer, I should say. Colt McCoy is a backup quarterback. He understands that. He's going to come in and give you what he got, but he's a backup quarterback. Nothing wrong with that. He's a backup quarterback. Kirk Cousins, you may say he's on the fringe or, he really don't deserve it. Or he's better than Colt McCoy. That's better than Colt McCoy. Matt Farrell asked a question, do the Skins have a good enough team around Cousins? No, I don't think so. Not at this point. So maybe that's something else they could do. I don't know if Kirk Cousins has that it factor as well. But in my eyes, he's a pretty good quarterback. And if you surround him with more talent, then yes, there were passes that he threw to guys like Dotson and everything, and they didn't catch the ball. And I forget his name already, that left from Cleveland. He was a former quarterback from Ohio State. Geez, someone help me out. I know I got it in my head, but I can't even spit it out. But they signed him as a free agent, big name free agent. Did not pan out. Jordan Reed was hurt. He had the problem with the concussions and other, injuries. They were still trying to figure out their running back situation with Rob Kelly and Samaje Perine. So yeah, it's a lot of question marks around there, just not to put it on, Kirk Cousins. But at this point, you have to make a choice. You have to commit or tell your franchise or tell your fans that you are starting over. You're not going to get Eli or anything like that. You're not going to get, maybe they could get AJ McCarron. I mean, Cincinnati tried to trade him once. But if he doesn't pan out, like something like that, if a trade doesn't pan out, just I'm just saying, you should have made your decision long